See the extra. In Singapore, to chope a seat is to claim your space with a pack of tissues. This is Chope, a series where Singaporeans gather over a meal to talk about survival, identity, and what it really means to belong in New Zealand. Born Kiwi, raised Singaporean. In this episode, Amanda Grace Leo sits down with Adlena Wong over soft-boiled eggs, kaya toast, and coffee to talk about the complicated space in between. Hi Amanda.
Hi.
Welcome to my humble home.
I love it. This is very humble. Your custom couch very humble, is it? That you waited 10 months for very humble.
Humble lah, it's not mid-century leh.
Yeah, that's true.
I see that you are very comfortable in my house. Later we might have an insert of Amanda lying down on my sofa to prove my point.
It's very comfy. As I say, you have a nice couch, not like these wooden mid-century. You're our parents, right?
Yes, I am.
No, but our parents then clearly didn't lounge around because, like my grandma's house used to have the cane furniture.
Yeah.
Every time they go there, Chinese New Year.
Hey, hello. They cannot lounge around lah. They need to go outside work and support us.
That's why.
Yeah.
So now they work so hard for us to what?
To what?
Relax and on a nice
To
couch.
make content. Speaking of making content, Amanda is an expert in the area. Yeah, check out her Instagram, Amanda Grace Leo or
Grace at Tarot.
Grace at
I just
Tarot.
started a new one.
Yeah, which is
Celebrant Amanda Grace Leo. Because I married a Malaysian girl, as in
you married.
I officiated
clarify.
a Malaysian, my friend Annie, who her mom is Mama's Kitchen, who I need to get you to try her food.
Is it that
She made the kueh.
what's her name?
Helene.
Oh yes.
Yeah, so she's my neighbor. So her daughter got married, asked me to be her MC wedding celebrant.
Okay.
But she said you should make an account. So now I've got and then I've got face paint. I'm a face painter as well.
Okay.
Under Face Fatale face painting, we do
Yes.
balloons as well.
So very honoured to have this woman of 4 talents come join me today over breakfast.
So honored to be here.
So I have prepared for you what I think would be a metaphor for your life, Amanda.
You know what? I wore this, but I should have bought my Yakun Kaya To shirt. I have a Yakun Kaya
I
To.
asked my mother-in-law to buy from Uniqlo.
From Uniqlo?
The fishball one. Fishball noodle
Oh,
one.
you like the? Oh yeah.
Yeah,
You should
because
buy
I mean,
the-
bak chor mee,
bak
what?
chor mee.
Yeah, so I
Can
will wear it in
you?
my next market.
You should make Super Show Eat shirts. We will all wear.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, make merch.
Okay, this is
Hey.
recorded on the video,
We
people.
will wear it. You heard it here first.
I
Merch.
have my ambassadors. So today's breakfast is, Hainanese, which is, our one of the groups of our ancestors of most Singaporeans.
You know I'm Hainanese, right?
Oh, you are? I thought you were Hakka.
No, I'm Hainanese.
Oh my god.
You Hainanese also?
No lah, hello.
Yeah. The Chinese part.
Which part of me?
The Chinese part.
Hello, I'm not as cultured as you lah. So, usually it's the Cholo Hokkien.
The Cholo Hokkien.
That's
The
me.
alien Cholo Hokkien, is it?
Yes. You are the hinterland person, I'm the by the
What's-
sea person.
No, what? Hainan is an island.
Oh yeah,
mah.
sorry. Mix up with Hakka. Hakka is the
inland.
inside one.
The hinterland.
Hinterland people.
Hinterland. Inland.
Okay, we coastal people. That's cool.
I must say for my Hainanese people, Ai nam nang bo bakung ai nam bui. That means
听不?
海南人不会说海南话.
Oh,
That's what it means.
welcome to my club. That's what my 阿公 say all the time. 安怎你福建人不晓讲福建话啊，真歹势啊的。Befitting of you, Hainanese breakfast with a bit of a colonial influence because
Because we're here?
no, because I understand your background, you have kind of like the mix of not in Singapore, not in New Zealand. So where do you stand? So why don't you tell us more about, your background, your interesting journey,
My interesting.
straddling 2 islands. Well, actually 3 islands.
Yeah, I love it. I'm an island girl. So I was born in New Zealand. Then I grew up here and lived here until I was 9. And then after that, my parents moved all of us back to Singapore because Dad got a better job.
Okay.
Right. And then after that, I came back for university. But kind of like I always knew I wanted to come back because maybe I felt like I had a lost childhood, Because when I went back when I was 9, it was actually very difficult to adjust to Singapore society.
Okay.
It was like completely opposite. Like you look at your kids now, they're running around very free.
Yeah.
No need study, right?
Yeah.
I entered at P4. Somehow they
What, streaming some more?
No,
Wait,
so yes,
Yeah,
I was supposed to enter P4, but they entered me into primary 3 instead.
Oh, okay.
So they delayed me a year to help me, give me one year to catch up with Mandarin.
Okay.
Because at that time PSLE was it's still difficult lah.
Which school do you go to?
I went to Admiralty Primary actually. So I went to a very an NSK. So not only did they take this very Ang Mo kid, right?
That's in what, Choa Chu Kang?
Woodlands.
Oh, Woodlands. Oh yeah.
They took this Ang Mo kid, right? And then they
How dare they?
They put me in this like neighborhood school kid. But it's okay. Yeah, neighborhood school. But I still have some really good friends from MLT.
Okay.
Like one.
Okay, don't worry. I'm neighborhood school kid also. So
Yep.
watch what you say, huh?
I loved it. I loved my time there. It was great. And then I DSA'd into IJTP. But I think the whole time I knew I wanted to come back. I think that happens when you have like a lost childhood or something. You always like long for what you want, right? So long for what you have lost. So I felt like I had this lost life that was completely swallowed up by studying in Singapore and the stress of the system. So okay lah, I think I did spend a lot of my time just wanting to get out because I think it's very difficult. I mean, for me it was hard also because my personality is very exuberant. But I also think that's a very also because I grew up here. So people are very outspoken, they really encourage that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But Singapore is no, you need to.
So Singapore cram your style.
Yeah, it's yes, but then now I realize that, man, what I thought was Singapore limiting me, I don't know, it also just connected me so much to my culture lah. But and to be honest, I don't know, when I look back now, I don't necessarily now when I go back to Singapore, I don't think it cramps my style. So the narrative I had growing up, I don't know if it's changed.
Yeah.
Because of course, if I think back to me then, I'll think, oh my gosh, my style was very cramped, or I can't be myself, I'm too loud for Singapore.
Yeah.
But now when I go back, everyone loves that.
Yeah.
But do you feel that way?
Me?
But I guess it's harder because you.
Yeah. I mean, I came here when I was 35. I guess first gen immigrant, you are considered 1.5? 2? 1.5. Yeah. So, yeah, different because by the time you're 35, right, your thinking is quite fixed. Plus, I came here as a mom, as a wife, as a mid-career professional.
Yeah, because your kids are they're so hybrid, but quintessentially they will. But it's so hard to say because of the ages, right? But also because you're a very Singaporean. Plus, they have lived in Singapore when they were young.
Yeah, so I guess my experience, and the thing is the thing that grinds my gears, which I think most brown-coloured immigrants will feel is why I come here, I'm migrant, eh? Why am I not expat? Yeah. Because if you talk about qualifications, if you talk about first world education, if you talk about native English,
But do people see you as a migrant, not an expat? I feel like there is. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but do people see people from coming from Singapore, especially at your age and professional level, as a expat or a migrant?
I think it's still the migrant narrative, which also pisses me off because when back in Singapore, where I work in global companies. Okay lah, I mean Singapore is still quite hungover with the whole colonial mindset still, So we still worship the grounds that
Ang Mohs walk.
Yeah.
Ang Mohs walk.
Ang Mohs walk on, unfortunately.
I think a lot of Singaporeans have this experience when we move here, we realize we're actually way more Singaporean than we thought we were. Because I think when you're different in Singapore, it's very easy to be oh, I'm different, or because and to want to go against the grain, right? Or to go against social conditioning, and to think that and to feel like you don't fit in. But then you come here and then you realize, because you really don't fit in, wow, I really am very Singaporean. Because you don't necessarily fit in with the Chinese or the other Asian diaspora, because it's so specific being Singaporean.
Yeah.
Right.
An observation, coming here, when the mainland Chinese or Koreans know that I'm from Singapore, I can sense for that split second, I can sense they're oh wow, and then the Chinese then will follow up with, 你是从新加坡来，你为什么会过来呢？
Yeah,
新加坡有多好？
Yeah.
你干嘛来纽村呢？ Then I'll be
I know.
You know, I mean, I give my politically correct spiel lah. Which is like, 没有啊，因为 you know 新加坡太多压力了，所以我要让我的孩子见识一下这边的生活。And then when the Kiwis know that I'm from Singapore, and then then predictably it'll be like, for those of them who worked in Singapore before, it'll be like, I was there for a few years. Everybody else is like, I love your airports, and it's like, okay, that's all you love about us, great. So I feel as Singaporeans now, in this whole global context and everything, and especially in the last 10, 15 years like I feel like it is actually a flex to be a Singaporean.
I feel in 2026 is the biggest flex to be Singaporean.
Yeah.
Especially with what's going on now.
Yeah.
No one wants to be.
Yeah. So from a passport perspective.
Oh yeah.
And then second is like we are really like the right blend of like, the Confucius values, but the Western ways of doing. So like it or not, I think our government policies or whatever they were thinking of, it like works for us lah.
I find Singaporeans here, especially like Singaporean Kiwis, have that Western outlook but are very pragmatic, which is what I really like. Because I guess everyone who is chosen to come here has come here for a reason. No one moves to New Zealand for better economic opportunities, because we don't have better economic opportunities here. So we are moving for the lifestyle and the way of life, right? So then people really have, but I like I think I've come to really love and find more attractive the Singapore pragmatism, which used to really annoy me when I was younger. But also when you're young, you're kind of naive and very idealistic, especially when it comes to Western values. Whereas now I find that the Asian pragmatism is a lot more, I don't know, I find it much more attractive. Because it's a much more, as you say, it's a Confucian value of like considering other people as opposed to like rampant individualism. Yeah. Right.
But I think, of course, and another thing that kind of set us apart in a maybe not so great way is like, I think maybe us and our Malaysian counterparts, we identify ourselves as our nationality, not our ethnicity,
A lot of people don't understand that. Some of my friends, I have friends who sometimes call themselves Singaporean, but they were like just born in Singapore. I don't say anything, but Singapore is not an ethnic identity, it's a national identity. So actually, not a hangover, but I used to call myself Singaporean Chinese a lot. But that's in a very specific context of the New Zealand Asian Art Circle wanting to be very specific. But I've dropped the Chinese label.
So can I ask why though? Like why the New Zealand art scene requires you to?
It doesn't require, but I think it was just like, as you're trying to increase representation of Asian artists in New Zealand, people want to be very specific when they talk about their lineage lah.
Yeah.
Like their whakapapa here.
Yeah.
So then of course it comes down to, okay, you're Chinese, but like where, they're really breaking it down.
Yeah.
But then, and so for a while I started calling myself Singaporean Chinese, and actually because I'm gonna have a show, right, that is kind of about being Singaporean, all about my story at the Cabaret Fest later this year. It's a karaoke show. So my bio used to say I'm a Singaporean Chinese, and so I took out the Chinese, and my producer, who is Malaysian, was like, oh, you don't want to put Singaporean Chinese? And I said, nah, I don't need to. Everyone knows I'm Chinese, but I'm I'm Singaporean. I don't know, I just feel like, yes, being Singaporean Chinese is a very specific, it's also very specific, but I think in this context, it's not that important to me right now in what I'm making.
Can you like flesh out more, then if you can, share with us like your experience being like a creative in the theatre, drama space in New Zealand generally, but also like how then does whatever you just said about being Singaporean Chinese helped or not helped you in this space?
The funny thing is, I think when I was growing up, like when I was in my 20s doing uni here, right? Of course, like, because there's not a lot of roles, as in Ang Mohs when they cast you, right? Or not, I'm not just say Ang Mohs, but like let's say the mainstream when they cast you, sometimes they don't cast you because it's very difficult for them to imagine someone of any ethnicity playing a normal role. They're just not, you know. So I think a lot of times, yeah, I guess I wish I wasn't Asian. So, but then as I started to find my community here, and I think after I graduated from uni and started working, it just so happened that was when I just happened to be in the right place and right time where I met all these creatives that were really wanting to start up or really wanting to increase Asian representation. So there's like Proudly Asian Theatre and all these. So I got involved like from the beginning lah. Yeah. And we kind of like did shows together that then, you know, got recognized and put us on the map. So I guess in a way I'm like one of the, not the first or the second, because we have like a pioneer like our Tsetes, but they were like lone. They were like one, you know, like one person here, one person there. Yeah. But I think this is, my generation is like the first generation to really have like, you know, like a group, organized group, so to speak, whether that's like a theatre company. So it wasn't until in 2018, I actually did a Singaporean play called Roots by Oliver Chong. Oh. Up until then, and it was bilingual, it was very difficult. But up until then, right, it was really, I think I was very generically Asian. Even though I knew I'm Singaporean and talked about it, but I probably marketed myself more as generically Asian just because I had to. Okay. But I think Roots marked a turning point for me where everyone then started to see me as Singaporean lah. But it also wasn't until I started reading tarot and then streaming tarot on TikTok, and it did amazingly in Singapore. Whenever I went back to Singapore and I read tarot on TikTok, it just went crazy, you know, just picked up hundreds of followers. That was when I really was like, oh, it's kind of strange, like being Singaporean, which is also something that maybe I didn't want to, I don't know if that's true, but like I didn't necessarily identify strongly. That's actually my biggest selling point. But also it came to at a time where I, you know, like over COVID, when we couldn't go back for 3 years because of COVID, right? I had my first trip back to Singapore, I had this really weird experience where I enjoyed Singapore so much because I hadn't been there for so long. It'd been 3 years. And then I realized that in those 3 years that I hadn't been back to Singapore, like everything from the way I sounded, even my accent, right, was so Ang Moh. Like I just couldn't, like when I hear myself like on podcasts or whatever, like 4 or 5 years ago, right, I can't recognize my voice. Yeah. Because I didn't realize, it was like the Ang Moh calcified into me. So then I went back to Singapore and I had this experience of like, wow, like this is, I don't know, and then for some reason I felt like maybe my life, it's like I'm just killing time with my life in New Zealand until I could return to Singapore. It was a very bizarre feeling. I'd never felt that in my life.
Okay, interesting. So did you like kena like slammed by Singaporeans and say, hey, why you talk Ang Moh accent?
Never. They cannot, because I grew up in New Zealand. So if you want to talk about my OG act, everyone's like, how can you say Ang Moh? I was like, that's how I grew up, man. I'm an OG. Like, what you want to say? But actually, no one has ever said that to me. People now be like, oh, we really love your code switching. I was like, thanks.
Interesting that you should raise code switching because my girls are masters in that. And I never even like, you know, consciously tell them what to do, right? Like you can just tell when they talk to their friends or whatever, they are the Kiwis. And then talk to me, okay lah, normal, I guess. But the moment they talk to my mom or my mom-in-law, right, it's like the Singlish things just come out automatically. I see that as actually like a skill, like a superpower, you know, because like number one, like they can read the room, and number two, it really points to adaptability, right? Yeah, like know your audience. Because my father-in-law, every time she talks to my second one, right, he'll be like, can you please talk slowly? I don't understand what you're saying.
Oh my god, this is me when I first moved back. This Ang Moh girl put into Admiralty Primary. I remember like my first couple of weeks there, being in the canteen, talking to kids, and the kids are just like, I have no idea what you're saying. I was just like, yep, and they're like, What? I don't know what you're saying.
Which is also like quite funny, right? Because you would imagine even if you are a kid in Singapore, you'll be exposed to Western media like YouTube. I'm sure.
No lah, but the New Zealand accent is very specific. It's quite hard to understand, and we talk very fast.
That's true. Interesting about the tarot card bit. You find like the Singapore audience was more receptive.
You know what? I think when I read for a Singapore audience, I like connected to my younger self. And that brought out like the Singaporean in me, because I saw people coming up to me for like love readings and not loving themselves and boy problems was just like, you know, what is what I was going through, and like, and then the whole thing with body image and Singapore beauty standards, and then coming here and, you know, like and then I realized, oh, actually this is the audience I want to serve. And this is so much more meaningful to me than the other, not say the other readings are not meaningful, but this is super meaningful to me. So then that really called the Singapore, that's why the Jie came out, right? It called out the Singapore Jie in me.
Yeah. Okay, so just now you said you gave up your New Zealand passport, right? Which is a leap of faith of its own, because, you know, you kind of like spend your years straddling the two, and in a way you made the decision to choose one. But just in general, in your whole journey, right? Which side do you consider that you have made a leap of faith?
Oh, that's a really good question. It was a leap of faith to Singapore because, I mean, in giving up my New Zealand citizenship, I got to drop to a PR. So, and it's the same to be honest, except I don't get access to Australia, right? In the same way. I can't just go to Australia and work easily in that same way. But at the time, and it's so hard because at the time you're 21 and you don't really know what you want. And when I was 21, I didn't really want to go back to Singapore to live. But I was smart enough to know that I don't want to cut that out. And also I wanted, if my parents, like when my parents were getting older, if anything ever happened, I wanted to be able to go back to Singapore and just live and work there into what I need to do. So that was the practical decision making then. But then, of course, surprisingly now, surprisingly where my journey has taken me, becoming a tarot reader and really finding my niche to be like Singaporean Mimeis, right? Yeah. Has reopened Singapore as a viable option for me in terms of living half here, half there. I think if not for that, I wouldn't have fallen in love with Singapore again. As much as I have now. Yeah. So actually, I didn't know it at the time, but it was a leap of faith towards Singapore, but still being able to have my hybrid life.
And I mean, and to be fair, you know, a New Zealand permanent resident, it's pretty much like...
It's the same.
Yeah.
By that point, I was really like studied already. So So I knew I would always have New Zealand, but it was a leap of faith, I think, towards Singapore. It must be.
I think you have also kind of like up your value and found the right positioning for yourself by being that, you know, that Jeje who has went against the country's orders of like, no, Singapore is safe. Why do you want to go out into the big bad world? And you went out to the big bad world and came and survived and came home to tell the story and tell all your memes that don't worry, Jeje's got you. Yeah,
but then at the same time, I actually think it's more daring for Singaporeans like yourself who have, I mean, I grew up here, so I also had like my godparents are here. I have one auntie, so I had like actually the only reason my parents say the only reason why we're letting you go back to New Zealand is because you have a support system and you got family and a lot of very close family friends. So anything ever happened to you, they know they got people to look after me. If I was to say, can I go to the US? I think different story. So as much as people say very brave, but I don't know, I just feel like it was easy for me. But I think also because I always dreamt of going back here and I knew I had support. So if anything, I feel very privileged in that sense. Because whereas if, you know, like Singaporeans who just like up and move to like the US, that's crazy to me. Like, or like they move to Europe, non-English speaking country like Germany, like completely different way of life. You're really alone and isolated there. Whereas I guess here it was like returning to my childhood lah.
Yeah, I mean, I do have, profound admiration for people who decided to, like, I don't know, live in Africa. You know, Singaporeans decide to go to Africa or some yeah, basically English is not the first,
Yeah.
you know, and they're definitely in the minority. Because
Yeah.
at least here, I mean, Auckland alone, there's going to be like what, 300,000 Asians, you know. I mean, of course we don't like it that they lump us all under the Asian category,
No,
okay?
but it makes us feel more at home.
Exactly.
And also,
Yeah.
I like this is what I love about Newmarket. A friend once said, "Yeah, Newmarket is like the Singapore of Auckland." She said, "I can see why you live there."
Yeah,
'Cause
that's true. I mean, because of the vibrancy as well,
But
and the
most-
makeup of the people.
Yeah,
generally.
I'm literally just in.
Yeah.
I really am living that Angmo Asian life with the other Angmo Asians, and it's like rich white people and rich Chinese people.
That's true.
And then all the Asians that don't want to go to Ponsonby and K Road, which is me also, they all go to Newmarket because it's like basic like us. We don't need to be hip. We just want to be basic. This is what I feel, right?
What the? Newmarket's not basic, eh?
Newmarket is pretty basic. I feel.
Really?
You don't feel?
I don't
Whereas
know.
like you want to be hip and like Angmo, you go to Ponsonby.
Back to the leap of faith thing, right? Which is kind of like connected. So how do you think your career in drama and theatre and what all the creative stuff that you're doing right now would have looked like if you were in Singapore and not here?
I don't know if I would have become a tarot reader firstly because, you know, I grew up Catholic and I'm still very like connected to my Catholic community in Singapore, like my church community and like my classmates.
Which church do you go to?
CDK, Christ the King. So I was at St. Anthony's and then when we moved to Bishan,
Yeah.
Christ the King in Ang Mo Kio, the Ang Mo Kio Bishan Church. And then plus IJTP, right? So you
Yes.
have like, I mean, that's all the
Convent.
Catholic
Yeah.
community. So I think I wouldn't have become a tarot reader. Becoming a tarot reader really challenged me. I think that was the hardest thing, which was like, it really challenged me to ask, you know, what is my purpose? And also, if other people that are important to me, like my dad, right? And my Catholic community, if they think that what I'm doing is wrong, but I really like what I'm doing and I believe that it's right, am I still going to do it? Or am I going to like buckle to the pressure and stop myself from being seen because it's very like, it's kind of like I didn't want to be judged or I didn't want people to ask them questions. I think that was a big fear of mine that people will go to my parents and be like, hey, your daughter reads tarot, it's so evil. You know, like a lot of this stuff. So actually when I became a tarot reader, by the way, I never wanted to be a tarot reader. It's something that I started doing for myself, but then it just so happened, read for someone, and then someone asked me to read for this event because they knew I read tarot, and then it just snowballed from there. But I think that really challenged me to be who I am in the moment now, even if it means disappointing my parents and disappointing my community. So that was probably harder. I feel like coming out that I'm a tarot reader and doing it visibly was actually much harder than anything I've done in my life, because everyone always known that, you know, I did drama in school, you know, was involved a lot, even in Singapore, known as the drama girl, the drama mama girl, but not known as a tarot reader. So that was harder because in Singapore I felt like I wasn't disciplined enough even as an actor, because I was so burnt out as a student in Singapore. So even when it came to drama, I wasn't, you know, I was struggling with fitting in still all the way up until I left. I still struggled with fitting in. Even though I can study, I struggled with studying things that I didn't want to. So very hard to discipline myself, not focus. My father used to say to me, Amanda, you are jack of all trades but master of none. So that kind of like, I couldn't focus and I couldn't meet my I don't think in Singapore I could have met my true potential in the same way because of all the stress and all the things that you have to live up to. Having said that, I came here and I just kind of like, fucked around. I also like, you know, I was just like partying and living life and then doing shows. And then it wasn't really until my late 20s, even when I started seeing my healer and I started like loving myself more, that I really started to commit to and started focusing on what I'm building for my life. I mean, also very garang, I'll go and take opportunities, but I didn't really have a plan. So I think in Singapore, being able to do that, like I wouldn't have been able to do that. And would I have met my full potential the way I have now, or the way I am, doing that? I'm not sure. But I don't think I would have become a tarot reader at all. And actually becoming the tarot reader, it's almost like, that was so bizarre, because I feel like that has been the door that has opened so many other things also to do with my acting career. Because even though I did that show in 2018, the Singaporean show, where I code switched like hell and everyone loved it. But I think it wasn't like, I don't know, maybe it is really embodying the che that I realized that, and it started to like really help my acting career as well. And it's growing, and it's opened up a whole new audience to grow.
I mean, it sounds to me like the very thing that you are not supposed to do, which is a bit like, Singapore lah, like a lot of things we cannot do, right? Is actually the thing that helps you like get a bit more clarity in the direction that you want to head.
Yeah. Sometimes, it's society, but it's also our fear of how we are perceived, right? In a way, I do think it's our own egos, our own insecurities and our egos, and really meeting that and having to dig deep. When you really meet that, that's when the doors start opening for you. Because if not, you will always limit yourself and censor yourself.
I mean, I recently read somewhere like, when you actually feel fear, that's the very thing that you need to do.
Yes, correct.
So I mean, I think as Singaporean and women and millennials and daughter, you're the eldest daughter, right? Yeah, I'm also the eldest daughter. We carry with us a lot of responsibility, in all sense of the word. And then, the burden of you can't shame your family, which is what you spoke to, because you are doing the very exact thing that you fear will bring embarrassment to your family.
But it's so crazy because, growing up, all my siblings will know me as Amanda's like that lah. She's very daring, very independent. So I always felt like the rebel who will go and don't listen to my parents. My parents say cannot, I'll still try and do it. But that's why I didn't realize until much later that actually, yes, I still am carrying, I still have my own version of that, even though it's very easy to see me very garang, right? But actually, when it came to tarot and having to really do it out in the open, because it came to a point in my career that if I'm not going to step out, then I will always be limiting myself, right? I realized, oh wow, I do feel a sense of shame and fear around this. Probably stuff to do with my relationship with my dad, because he's very Catholic, and that was hard also.
I mean, they call it filial piety, right? So if you are filial to your parents, you shouldn't do things that will hurt them,
but it's also pragmatism, right?
Well, I guess, maybe.
Or because when I think of a lot of the times when we limit ourselves, it's because we're in a comfort zone. And Singapore is very good at, Singapore, you have everything at your fingertips. Everything is taken care of. So it's very easy to stay in your comfort zone. Singapore, the system and the mindset is all about stability. Right?
Correct.
Income stability, life stability, the nuclear family, the system. So I think for Singaporeans, the hardest thing is to break out of their comfort zone. I mean, across the world. So I also see that as with the expectations and the boundaries that are drawn around you become your comfort zone. In which you can move, right?
So I think for me, I feel that as well coming here, that, I can do my food thing. I would imagine if I did this in Singapore,
I was gonna ask.
People would be like, huh? Why you waste all your comms media career experience and go and do this? I mean, it's like the recent news about one of the opposition party guy who in the end sell coffee or something at a hawker center, right? And then he gonna basically shame lah. So lau kui, why you politician, suddenly you sell kopi. So, but the thing is that there are plenty more where all these people came from. There are so many, all these young hawkers, they also gave up cushy jobs. They gave up whatever bank jobs, lawyer jobs, to go into food, to go into hawkering. So I find it very strange in 2026, after all these stories that come out every now and then showcasing all these people, that Singaporeans still have that mentality. They think of shaming people who are being brave, who are rebelling against the system. So to a certain extent, right, I also feel there is a tinge of envy,
of course,
from all these people.
Of course,
they probably don't have the guts or the gumption to actually break the mold. So back to how our founding father Lee Kuan Yew used to say that people who leave Singapore are quitters, right? We would like to update the messaging.
To be honest, he's not wrong, like, actually, I think about
But
this.
what are we quitting though?
I'm quitting the rat race,
Yeah.
and the conditioning.
And the system, right?
Yeah, and the system.
Yeah, we're not quitting the country though. I mean, if you think about it, right? Like earlier you said, if there's anybody more patriotic and more nationalistic, it's probably some Singaporeans outside of Singapore.
Yeah,
Because we begin to like appreciate. I mean, as cliche as it sounds, like, you know, like you cannot read the label from inside the bottle, right?
yeah.
You know, it's
yeah,
always like, hey, how come, like, not, like cannot see, or like, hey, why the words like left to right? Right? Because you are inside the bottle, what? But when you're outside, you actually realize, okay, yes, no government or no person is perfect, but for as much as we have clearly witnessed in New Zealand, especially in the last few years, I think
The pragmatism at the end of the day, right? I guess also when you're specifically in New Zealand experiencing a type of like very liberal democracy
Yeah.
that's not like the US.
Yeah.
You can't help but really look to Singapore's politics and the way they look after Singaporeans economically, and then you see what's happening in New Zealand, and you can't help but go, you know, we might have a lot to say about, say what you want. Singaporeans, at the end of the day, right, when I compare, I still think that my Singaporean, like my gay, queer Singaporean artistic friends are better off in Singapore than they are here.
Oh, really?
I think all factors considered. Like when you think about economically,
Yeah.
like a lot of my queer artist friends here are so lost, and they're even more depressed. It's kind of like pick your depression
Yeah.
because they have no money and life is really hard for them. Whereas in Singapore, I guess at least you're never gonna starve.
Yeah.
A friend, actually a Kiwi Asian friend here, a Kiwi Singaporean friend was like, at least in Singapore you are never gonna starve.
Yeah.
And you have things there for you. You are taken care of in a certain way. Whereas, and I think also it's true that restriction brings innovation.
Yeah.
So I actually had this, there's someone I know who is Singaporean. She's not culturally Singaporean by label only. She made a comment that made me I thought was a little bit interesting and ignorant. She said, oh yeah, but you know, like theatre in Singapore it's not very good. And she's a very well-known like artist here. And I just thought to myself, you do not understand the art of making things under censorship.
Yeah. Correct.
And like also because I grew up in Singapore theatre as well. But I just thought that was such an ang moh thing to say. And I was like, and this is why you are Singaporean, but Singaporeans will not see you as culturally Singaporean. Because also you don't understand the restraints in which we have to make art. And to you, it seems very basic and not highbrow Western art. But actually I find that a lot of Singapore theatre is as good as some of the shitty theatre. Well, I'm not saying shitty theatre, but I really enjoy Singapore theatre. I think it's innovative in its own way, in ways that New Zealand and even Asian theatre in New Zealand can only aspire to be honest.
Yeah.
Because restriction does breed a lot of innovation as well. So you're very right that we come here and we're like, you I don't know, maybe I mean, especially as I grow older, and you probably feel the same, that you become more pragmatic. But also, I don't know, with the world burning right now, I think also I'm excited because I think it's really opening up a new, especially like Singaporeans here and all of us kind of gathering now, it opens up a new way of really, you know, being Singaporean, but really carrying that with you.
Yeah. And I mean, increasingly, like, you know, on LinkedIn or whatever, like professional spaces, a lot of like, I'm hearing a lot of like Kiwis saying like, oh, you know, we should be like Singapore, we should be like, you know, like in terms of how well we do, I guess, you know, like the policies we come up with. But I somehow like, I chuckle a little bit because I was like, no, you can never be like us.
No, you can't.
Yeah,
you
because
can't.
culturally we are different. Our narrative, our national narratives are very different. I mean,
they're very curated. They're very, curator is not the right, but it is by design.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's a design that was designed a very long time ago that has taken generations to shape.
Yeah. So I mean, so similar to your point, like you say restriction breeds innovation, right? So the fact that Singapore as a country, we are restricted in terms of resources, that's what made us like develop the kind of drive, the kind of survival ship ways of thinking and doing. That's why, you know, in a short span of time, we can be who we are and where we are today. But if you are talking about countries with a lot of resources like New Zealand,
And lazy, yeah.
yeah, it's like, oh, it's okay. Our milk will sell.
It's true. You become
our timber will sell. We don't have to like, as people, how do you make people who are comfortable be motivated and have the drive? It's quite hard, right? Because
I'm lazy. If like
intrinsically, if our minds and our bodies are designed to make us be comfortable and feel safe, right? But in Singapore, it's never safe. It's always like somebody is going to attack us. We are surrounded by whatever country. We don't have resources.
Kiasu ah.
Yeah. So like every time we are on the edge, we've been on the edge for the last 60 years.
But I do think that's why it's kind of interesting that we're all here now. Like Singaporeans in New Zealand are also finding. I also think because it's cool to be Singaporean in 2026, it really is. In 2026, it's a flex. It's like the biggest flex. But I feel also like we're also. I don't know. Maybe I feel like for myself, I'm able to pioneer a new way to be Singaporean in a way that doesn't limit me to being a specific. I don't know. Like even doing the Lawrence Wong, even emceeing for Lawrence Wong when he came for the overseas Singaporean reception was like so bizarre because it's not something that, it's probably something I would have always wanted to do, but I kind of wasn't in my, like if you asked me to write my dream list down, it wouldn't be on my dream list up until maybe the year before. I was like, yeah, it'd be really cool, but I was just like, wow, there is a way to really, there is a way, I just am Singapore, I am Singaporean wherever I go lah. But there's a new way to reimagine the global Singapore identity is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. So on the Lawrence Wong bit, that makes the two of us.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. Did
why,
you ever
how,
think that?
Why would I ever think that one day I will cook for my prime minister coming to visit me?
That's so true. In Singapore, would you?
No. I mean, that's not my background in the first place. But I think the reason why it led to the opportunity coming to fruition is like, I mean, maybe it was, on hindsight, maybe I was strategic because I did sponsor the SG60 goodie bag and all that, right? And I mean, and perhaps made an impression.
Yes, no, same. I mean, like me, when I got the wind that, well, no one told me he was coming, but I knew. But spiritually, I really manifested that, I was going to be doing this. But I think, but it's not a dream. It's not a dream or something that you would have ever had on your...
No, it never even occurred to me.
Same.
I mean, for me, it's like, when I did the sponsorship, I was just thinking, maybe, I don't know, they might talk about me on their socials. That's all
which is great for networking.
Yeah, but never that. But I think the reason why, I was called to do that, because when they did in Wellington, there was no like Singaporean provider. It was probably Malaysian, Little Penang, I think was. So, but I am the only.
Yeah, you're the only
like Singaporean person. Like,
like if you ask me to name, I can't name anyone really.
I mean, of course, we all know that, in terms of our dishes, we overlap a lot with our neighbors and everything. But for like a Singaporean to do it, like the Singaporean way, it's like, I felt like, initially I was very like, should I double down on this whole Singaporean thing about, we are so niche, we are so small, like who cares, right? There's only 4,000 of us in the whole of New Zealand. But now thinking back, it is the very thing that actually helped me.
Yes, like being who you are, and I think being uniquely Singaporean, when you niche down, you actually, because you are so embodying a very specific version of yourself or who you are, it actually attracts more people. Because I think the authenticity that comes from niching down into who you are, who you really are, is... So I think also for you, it's amazing, like niching down. I wanted to ask you, at your markets, do you find that when you niche down, you also get like a lot of other Asian ethnicities coming to buy your food, not just Singaporeans?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, well, first of all, Singaporeans, really not a lot of us.
Yes.
And then of course there's the Malaysians. So typically in terms of Asian demographic, right, I would say the Filipinos.
Yes.
Because I mean, we're all siblings, right?
Yeah, but I saw that for the first time the other day. I was like, oh,
it's so clever,
God. No, but I also find that this generation of Asian, like Kiwi Asian, right?
Yeah.
They are so clued up to what Singapore. They know, and they know, and they want to try the difference between a Singapore nasi lemak
And the Malaysian
and
one.
the Malaysian one.
Okay.
In fact, I think some of my philo friends know the Asian food scene better than I do.
Okay. Thanks for the intel.
Yes.
So I mean that's the thing that, you know, why I took them here is to really beat them at their own game. You know? Because, you know, working in Singapore and you work for big companies, right? All your people up there are, you know, your white expats, right? So we Singaporeans are the workhorses. We do all the work, but we don't talk about how well we do it. They talk on our behalf, and therefore it's like a bit claiming credit, but actually, you know, we did the work. So from that experience, bizarrely enough, I mean, however it led to today, maybe the manifestation or whatever, subconscious talking, but oh man, next time if I have my own kids, right, I want them to have their confidence, the way they sell stuff, the way they talk, you know, but yet having that Asian values
ethic.
and work ethic. I mean, that's like a powerhouse.
Yes,
Imagine.
correct.
So I look at, you know, the Kiwi Asian kids here who kind of have that actually, you know. I find like, yeah, it's like if you add on like all the other Asian languages that they can learn, right? It's like powerhouse. They can go to Asia Pacific and survive anywhere.
I think the Kiwi Asian really is an Asian Pacific, like geared towards the Asia Pacific market.
Yeah, and a lot of them, like, you know, my kids' best friends, I mean, the Koreans, the Chinese, at home they speak their mother tongue. So, you know, they still retain the language, the cultural values and everything, but then out in school they are like. So we have clearly talked a lot and ate a lot today. You know, from the last time we met 2 weeks ago, you had my mee siam and my mee rebus.
Oh, I loved your mee rebus.
And then today, I mean, although this is not my strong suit or what I'm selling, but like I said earlier, you know, I thought this captures you as a Kiwi-Porian. I call you Kiwi-Porian, right?
I love it, this Kiwi-Porian. I was like, someone said Kiwi-Porian the other day. I was like, it works.
Any like parting words in terms of this experience and then having this and chit-chatting with me?
This was so good. Thank you. Yeah, it's got me thinking a lot about the word you also use, repatriate. Because I'm writing this show, right? So I'm having now to really dig. I'm really having to ask myself similar questions. But I think for me, what was really cool is like really realizing, even as Singaporeans who have left Singapore, right?
Yeah.
The quitters.
Yeah.
The Quitters Club. You should rebrand your
Yeah, we need to think of something kinder to call ourselves.
But I think it's great. It's the word we quitters, but as Singaporeans we still find ways to innovate. And actually it is niching down that really then got us like very high profile opportunities that are coming because we niche down into that.
Yeah, so out of the 4 we had, one is the traditional one, which is the kaya butter, and then we had peanut butter with condensed milk, and then we had the ham and cheese.
And the spam and cheese. So for me, kaya toast, I'm Yakun traditional set A. I am OG. I'm so...
Simi is set A, yeah.
Set A is just
the butter and kaya.
Butter and kaya. I'm
okay.
OG.
Okay.
But if someone else wants to order the other set, it'll be good for me. But
What is the other set?
Like the peanut butter, sugar.
Okay. I'm the butter sugar person.
Are you butter sugar? No, I'm set A. Yakun set A all the way. Very standard. Plus, I need to have the kopi. I need to have my kopi, and I need to have iced Milo. So
what type of kopi?
Kopi.
Kopi O? Kopi?
Just kopi.
Kopi C?
Kopi
siu dai.
siu dai.
Kopi C siu dai. Okay.
C is what?
C is evaporated milk.
No, I think I get kopi. If I want kopi, I always like kopi with less milk, less sugar.
Kopi siu dai. Kopi siu dai. You know what's a funny thing? When I go to Yakun, right? I would take the butter sugar one, but with iced Milo, and then I would tell the auntie, do not blend my iced Milo, because they will mix it in the blender. And for some reason, right, like the froth, I don't know lah, what it is lah. I said, auntie 不要，你可以用你的手在那边跟我泡嘛，你不要放在那个 machine 里面。
她会帮你泡啊？
Yeah, so she will make like that lor, like the, I mean the original way lah, I mean like the manual way lah. Otherwise they will put it in the blender and blend. I don't know, maybe they want to make many
I'm
at one
telling
time.
you something.
Yeah.
Recently the Milo at Yakun a bit watery.
Oh, okay.
Is it because they blend? Ask
Maybe.
her to pound.
I don't know. Maybe. Because blend you can make a lot at one time. So don't have to put a lot, right? But if you make on the spot, you have to put, please, auntie, 多一个汤匙 of Milo.
Honestly, my first meal when I go back to Singapore is standard chicken rice. We Nam Ki chicken rice. Thomson. Because my family's kampong was Thomson. Literally. Like, I like to think it's at Winam, like, but Winam Ki. And then for breakfast, then yakun kaya toast and prata.
Maybe your family and my husband's family are neighbors. They used to be at the Thomson Kampong, so.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for the food. Also, I tried Adlena's ayam masak merah for later tonight. Oh my god.
I'm the pao ka liao.
Can you sell it?
Yeah, so this is where my Chinese and Malay mix heritage comes into play.
Can you sell ayam masak merah?
Can. If got demand, I'll sell. Next time, hopefully when, if my mobile truck really come to fruition, then I can do all these different things.